Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go racing here for the second race of the season in all three series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway here, fresh off of a wild Daytona 500 where we saw myself and Joey Logano come together, and that brings in some news for this episode. NASCAR announces after a late race incident between Joey Logano and myself that Logano will be replaced once again on probation for 3 races. This is the third probation for him since last season, and NASCAR says we're quickly getting annoyed with the 22 actions on track, and we're not going to tolerate it for very much long. And now we come through into the Xfinity Series race here at Las Vegas, where of course we have Paul Menard full-time in our car for this season, and hopefully we can maybe come out of here with a championship this season very early. Of course, only race number 2, far too early to really make any kind of predictions or goals sets now as we get ready though to go green with this Menard's Chevrolet Camaro. I think the scheme still looks so great. I really hope you guys like it. I thought Lation did a great job. Now as we would get underway though here, he was starting just outside of the top 10 here in the Boyd Gaming 300 and immediately would make it 3 wide for a moment there between Kevin Magnussen as well as Anthony Alfredo. I would definitely keep an eye out for a potential announcement involving Anthony Alfredo here in the career mode sometime soon. Not confirming that, but it's definitely a possibility, and it could involve myself as well within that announcement. Now as you see Menard go through turns 3 and 4 using this outside to his advantage to try and get to that outside of the 8 car. Definitely I should mention I had some roster name issues with the Xfinity series, and basically there was a duplicate of both Landon Castle as well as Timmy Hill. This should be fixed within the next episode or 2, fortunately here, as Menard continues to try and work his way forwards here on this outside line behind that 18 car as it goes down the back straightaway, but he would continue moving his way forwards. He passed a bunch of cars in front of him, got to the inside of the 20 as he went down into turns. 1 was running behind the 7 of Justin Allgaier, and he was just slowly but surely making up some ground. And up front though, it was Jeremy Clements dominating this race. Nobody really had anything for that number 51 car. Hailie Deegan as well was having another solid run here today. Now as you see Menard go 3 wide up the inside as they came through to cross the line. He's trying to get up in the mix to potentially go for second place as he dives down into turns 1 here, side by side still with that 20 car, but he gets cleared there. But we come through now to the final lap. Hailie Deegan had gotten past Menard, and he was actually starting to fall back here on this final lap. The 18 had gotten up his inside, and he was just losing ground here like crazy on this final lap in the Boyd Gaming 300 there. As you see the 1 car get to the inside, that's another roster issue that kind of got messed up that I'll have to fix. It still says Michael Annette's in that car, but like I said, that will be fixed here within the next episode or 2. Now as the 19 gets up the inside of Ty Gibbs, it's going to be a Menard showdown coming to the line side by side through the tri-oval, and it's going to be the 19 of Gibbs crossing the line just barely in front of Menard to get for 7th as we settle in for P8 as Hailie Deegan gets a solid finish for P3, Christian Eckes P2, Riley Herbst up there towards the top 5, Kevin Magnussen down in P14, Sam Mayer in that 9 car down in P20, so a rough day for him, and then Austin Hill at the very bottom of the pack now as we would get ready to go here for the Cup Series weekend now, as not really sure what to expect here. We usually have a decent run at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but we've never really been in contention to win a race. But we get underway for qualifying. The goal was a 30.873, and usually at Las Vegas I am nowhere near that goal, so I was expecting to be a little bit off now, probably close to half a second or so as we go down into turns 1 and 2. Usually in the race you'll probably see me run the kind of high line through turns 1 and 2 for the majority, but now we came through into the tri-oval, coming through to complete our lap, and you can see there we do not beat the goal. It's a 31.145, so about 3/10 off here for the Pennzoil 400, where we qualify P17 in this Razor number 24 Camaro. Now as you see the rest of the order, Christopher Bell just in front of myself, William Byron in the 88 up there in P15, Larson down in P29, not a good one for him. BJ McLeod in the 78 car now moves into the Cup Series in replacement of the 34 of Michael McDowell, who just retired from the career mode after the Daytona 500. And then you see up front on pole Harrison Burton in his just 2nd race in that 19 car with Noah Gragson joining him on the front row. And then we got the 4th place car of Justin Haley there in the 16 in their 2nd race ever for Colleague Racing, having a very good qualifying effort. Alright boys, well we didn't have the start to the season we were hoping for, but we know what's capable with this team, so I'm confident we can have a good run today, so let's go get after it. There you heard myself on the radio, and immediately I noticed there you will see that BJ McLeod still has McDowell's picture. That's another thing that I will be fixing within the next episode or two. As you see Casey Kane going to the back after failing technical inspection. So for Red Bull's second race in their NASCAR comeback, not what they were looking for. Starting at the back of the field now as we get ready to take the green flag here in the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson lead the field to the green flag now as we are underway alongside the number 14 of Chase Briscoe. There, and just in front of us we got the number 20 of Christopher Bell, as well as the 88 of William Byron. Byron, of course, being an affiliate teammate to us in that Hendrick Motorsports Alliance for that Earnhardt Johnson Racing team here. As we go down into turns 1 and 2, we got the 48 of Alex Bowman running up there just in front of us. Chase Elliott as well, a few rows up now as we go down this backstretch. Keselowski just behind myself. I mentioned earlier, Brad Keselowski went all of last season in the career mode winless. I think this is a big season for him to try and make a statement, because if he has another winless season, you very well could see the end of Brad Keselowski in the career mode, at least at Penske Racing. He might go elsewhere, or maybe even have to downgrade to a lower tier team here as we came to complete this first lap, as I already move up to that outside lane, trying to get that momentum. Immediately we get to the outside of that number 88 of William Byron, trying to go 3 wide in the middle between the 7 of Smith and the 48 of Bowman. We make it work. A little bit of contact to the inside now of the 33 of Austin Cindric, who seems to be a little bit off the pace there in that number 33 Money Lion Ford Mustang for Penske Racing, that 4th car for Penske that comes in this season as we exit turns 4, heading down this front straightaway now as we come through to cross the line and complete the second lap. 17 laps to go in stage 1. You got the 0-2 of Eric Jones and the other McLaren, teammates to Zane Smith up here towards the top 10 running in P11 now, as we're going to have a lot of momentum though on the exit of turns 2, and we're going to be able to get past that number 0-2. As currently we got Harrison Burton running out front, pulling away from everybody now as I would look to the inside of Kevin Harvick here out of turns 2 on lap 4, as Bowman was trying to kind of follow me into the mix now, as we're going to be forced though to run the inside lane up the inside of the 41 of Cole Custer. And once I kind of got forced down here to the bottom, I actually struggled quite a bit here as we came through out of turns 2. Now we were 3 wide with both Custer as well as Kevin Harvick here as we go down into turn 3 on lap 5, and I was really struggling. I couldn't really complete the passes and clear any of these guys on the inside, so it got very frustrating very quick, because Alex Bowen, he's using this outside and he's getting right up into the mix. And sure enough, on the exit of turns 2 on lap 6, now Harvick's able to get clear of me. Bowman gets alongside here as we go down into turn 3, and I just cannot complete these passes that I need to be completing here on the inside. So I was really just looking for an opportunity to get back up to the top, as Ryan Blaney's going to take that top spot away from me though, and I'm going to have to once again just settle in here on the bottom as Bowman, he gets past me, and we now drop down into the 12th spot as even William Byron's going to get to my outside here to go down into turns 1 on the 7th lap of this first and opening stage. Fortunately, though, I would get clear of Byron and pull up in front of him, but then the 96 of Brandon Jones in his second season in the Cup Series, he would actually blow by me on the inside there, and now we drop down to P13, but then I get to the inside of Kevin Harvick finally here on the exit of turns 2, some contact there on lap 8 down the back straightaway, and then the caution comes out for the first time here today in the Pennzoil 400 as Harrison Burton and Justin Haley run P1 and P2 as we're going to come into the pit lane. I can confirm the reason for the caution here in stage 1 was for Ryan Preece in that 21 car for Wood Brothers Racing. So he is going to be done for the day. Preece out of the race completely, unfortunately for himself, as everybody though would be staying out here as we would get ready to go green late in this first and opening stage. So we'll be lining up here on the outside lane in P12, and preferably I would be in the outside lane for restarts at a track like Las Vegas. So I was pretty happy about this. Now as we get back underway here from Las Vegas, now less than 10 laps to go in stage 1 as Harrison Burton looks to get the stage victory in that 19 car. He set the goal, as you guys remember last episode when I brought some content creators into the pre-race for Daytona to kind of get you guys caught up on what's going on. Harrison Burton mentioned he's looking for 3 wins on the season and a strong playoff run. Already in position to potentially get his first win of his career and of course of this season here as we go down into turn 3, right behind that 48 of Alex Bowman. There you see the 16 of Justin Haley all the way to the outside along with Denny Hamlin. Haley having a great run in just his second race for that colleague racing team here as we come through down the front straightaway. 7 laps to go in stage 1, and we're really not going anywhere at this point here. I'm just running this outside lane hoping it's going to pay off now as we come through the center of 1 and 2, but it really wasn't making much happen here for at least the first lap or 2 of this restart. But now we get to the back of that 48 of Bowman down the backstretch into turn 3. Bubba Wallace in that number 23 DoorDash car just in front of us now as we came through onto lap 15 into turns 1 and 2. We would have our opportunity to get to the outside of that 23 car as we come through out of turns 2. I expect expect a lot better things from that 23 car this season, potentially maybe even a win from Bubba Wallace, hopefully now, as we go down into turn 3 on the outside of the 48 of Alex Bowman. And now we have finally, for the first time, entered the top 10 as a one car of Noah Gragson actually blows an engine as we come through out of turns 4, and that's going to bring out the second caution already on the day here in Las Vegas. And the first thing that caught my eye, Chase Elliott, by the way, now out front. He started outside of the top 10 along with myself, and here he is working his way through the field, putting himself out front. So I think that 9 car is going to be very hard to beat here. As everybody comes into the pit lane, we're going to do 2 cans of fuel, 4 fresh tires. I didn't really feel a need to make any adjustments to the car at this point, and we would gain 1 spot on the pit lane. Bubba Wallace gains 2 spots. Brandon Jones loses 5, so we line up here P8, Bubba now P9 as we get ready to go green in what is going to be a 1-lap dash to decide the stage 1 finish here from P8, currently holding on to 3 points if we finish where we are right now at 1 lap time, as Alex Bowman runs in P7. And Bowman actually won this race last season, or I should say the last time we came here in the playoffs, he won this race. Now as we go down into turns 1, out of turns 2 to the back of that 12 of Ryan Blaney. I could have maybe forced it 3 wide and been really aggressive right there, but I thought a little bit better of it. Here's a go down this backstretch into turn 3. For the final time, I jump up to that 3rd lane here and try to make it work through the center of the corner. As we come through, though, out of turns 4, Chase Elliott is going to come through to get his first stage win of the season, a playoff point. There's the 23 of Bubba Wallace. He gets us at the line there, and we have to settle in for P9 in this first stage. So Brandon Jones rounds out the top 10. Keselowski just barely misses out on some stage points there. As you see, everybody's actually coming into the pit lane again, which caught me very off guard because we only ran 1 lap under green. I decided, you know what? Track position, very important at a track like Las Vegas. I don't think I have a car capable of winning this race, but I decide we're going to stay out here and take the lead because there really wasn't any point to pit. I think they were just trying to make sure they were going to be okay on field, but even without pitting, you would be okay on field to make it to the end of stage 2 by about a lap or 2. So we cycle out into the lead here for the start of stage 2 in front of our teammate Chase Elliott, Harrison Burton, Denny Hamlin on road number 2 behind us, as stage 2 is now underway. And of course, for the start of stage 2, we're going to go through into the amped segment here in Las Vegas. There you have the AMP segment here in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Obviously, we don't have the speed to win this race, like I said. As you see, Denny Hamlin goes to the lead, Kyle Busch through to second, and now Justin Haley up the inside of Kyle Busch, but as well, Chase Elliott goes by us, the 19 of Harrison Burton as well, trying to make a pass. So we're now going to drop down to P6 as we go down into turn 3 as that number 19 completes the pass. So, like I said, we just don't have quite the speed we need, but I was hopeful that maybe we could make some adjustments a little bit later in this race to loosen the car up a little bit. It just felt a little bit too tight, but we come through to lap 9, and I had lost quite a bit of ground to those front 5 drivers, but I was opening up the gap to 7th place on back, so I was really just kind of in an island of my own at this point here in stage 2. Not able to run down the cars in front of us, but able to stay away from the cars behind us. So, nothing really going on as the caution would actually come out, though, here about halfway through stage 2, and this time we actually have a bit of a mixed strategy going on here. As you see, Hamlin, Burton, they would actually all decide to come in, but a bunch of drivers behind us outside of the top 10 decided they are going to stay out for this pit stop. And I said, you know what, this is a huge opportunity for myself to stay out, run away from these slower cars, and have to make the faster cars work their way through, as I can just run away with the stage victory. So I stay out once again here for the second pit stop in a row, and now all of a sudden we find ourselves back out front here in Las Vegas as the green flag is out and only a handful of laps are remaining in stage 2. So I really see no way that we lose this second stage. So instead of probably dropping down towards 10th or so, because of everybody getting grouped back up, we would probably now win the stage, so we're going to be able to pick up a playoff point. That is very crucial, of course, later down the line in the season, as those playoff points are just so important, as they proved last season, especially getting us into that Final Four. It's been quite a little bit of time now since we've even won a race here in the career mode, because we went all of the playoffs last season without picking up a victory. Of course, we were very close at Phoenix Raceway. We lost that race and championship by just a few thousandths of a second here as we came through to the final 3 laps now of Stage 2. And clearly, we had a lot more speed than drivers like Kevin Harvick in the 4 car, Ryan Blaney in the 12, and they were just not competitive at all compared to myself. So we come through to start the final lap of Stage 2, and no pressure whatsoever. It was actually Joey Logano who was up to second in that 22 car, not Ryan Blaney. But either way, we have no pressure at all as we come through out of turn 2, heading down this back straightaway for the final time on this final lap in the second stage. Of course, we will have to come to the pit lane at the end of the stage, but what's important is these faster cars that were running up front before that pit stop are still stuck behind traffic, so we're also going to be able to do the same thing that we just did at the start of Stage 3 as we come through to cross the line to win the second stage here in Las Vegas. Good stuff, boys. I don't think we have a winning car, but I mean, if things work out just like we did here in Stage 2, we might have a chance to win this race, so we'll see what we can do. There you heard myself on the radio. Our teammate of Kyle Larson gets P3. Matt DiBenedetto rounds out the top 5, and Eric Almirola in that number 43 car rounds out the top 10, as you see the rest of the order. Chase Briscoe actually DNF, so he was the reason for that caution just recently there, so very unfortunate for Briscoe, who had 3 wins last season, now in his 3rd full-time season of his Cup Series career. You saw me make some adjustments there on the pit stop, and we would once again cycle out in the lead and get ready to go green here from P1 for the start of the 3rd and final stage. And if it stays green in this 3rd and final stage now as the green flag is underway, we might have a very good opportunity to win this race, because these faster cars have to work their way through traffic. Joey Logano had a terrible restart, and that's good for us. Of course, him being a rival, he's on probation. NASCAR does not want him messing with us whatsoever now as we come through the center of 1 and out of turn 2. We got the 10 of Matt DiBenedetto just behind myself now as we go down this backstretch. DiBenedetto picked up 2 wins last season in the Cup Series there in that number 10 car, now his 2nd season with Stewart Haas Racing. He most recently won the first race of the playoff last season at Darlington Raceway, and of course he would like to do even more this season and get as far through the playoffs as he can, as he got eliminated after the Charlotte Roval last time out now as we come through to complete this first and opening lap here of the 3rd and final stage in the Pennzoil 400. Now, as DiBenedetto trying to put a little bit of pressure on myself, but I knew as the laps went on we were going to be able to pull away from drivers like him, and I was just hoping, like I said, that it was going to stay green for this whole 3rd and final stage. The odds of it staying green throughout the 3rd stage, very, very unlikely. I mean, it's not very often that happens. Maybe, honestly, I would say less than 5 times per season it stays green throughout the whole final stage. So definitely knew the odds weren't good, but if they do happen to keep it green this whole 3rd and final stage, we are golden. And that call to stay out on that last caution in Stage 2 was incredible, because here we are now a little bit later in the race, and you see on lap 50 the gap that we had to 2nd place, who was now belonging to Kevin Harvick, who was battling it out with his Stewart Haas teammate of Matt DiBenedetto there. So just kind of chilling right now, but also just trying to make sure we were still pushing as hard as we can, because I knew we couldn't make it to the end of this race on fuel and whatnot, so we of course have to make a pit stop. Denny Hamlin was that first car that had come to the pit lane earlier in the race and was now working his way through the traffic, so he was the one that I was concerned about now as we come through to bring in the visor cam for the first time this season now, as we're going to see this at points throughout the season, not every episode, but I will definitely bring it in at probably maybe every 4 to 5 races or so here as we came through. Already less than 20 laps to go, and we're just making sure that we make no mistakes now as we come through the center of 3 and 4. I was already thinking about, when do I want to make the pit stop? Do we want to pit a little bit earlier than expected, or do we want to stay out as late as possible? So I was not decided yet as we came through the 16 to go. I was looking behind me. I saw Hamlin was quickly moving his way through the traffic, and sure enough, he would get into 2nd place with 13 laps to go. He was faster than me. He was closing the gap. It was now less than 2 seconds between myself and Denny Hamlin here on now lap 55. Kyle Busch was actually the next car working his way through traffic, so I was keeping an eye on him in the lap timings. Hamlin decided he was going to move up the track a little bit and try to make up some ground on that momentum on the exit of the corner, and he was keeping it right about 1.5 seconds or so. But I decided now, with 11 laps to go, we were actually going to come in to the pit lane a little bit earlier than usual. As we came through to lap 57, 4 laps of fuel in the car, I decided right here we're going to make our pit stop now as we come through out of turns 4. So Hamlin's going to go through to the lead, but we are the first one to come into the pit lane. Very easy call to make here. 1 can of fuel as well as 2 right side tires. That was all we needed to get us to the end of this race. So we come in here. Fortunately, I was actually really close to speeding onto the pit lane, and I would have thrown the race away, but fortunately we did not actually speed here, as we would come through with an 8.1 second pit stop. So now it's all about, when does the rest of the field decide to pit? Does a caution come out before they decide to pit? That would completely ruin our race now, but I was hopeful by the way this thing was going that wasn't going to happen here as we go down into turn 3 now with less than 10 laps to go in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Everything's been working out for us perfectly, simply because we've had no cautions. Now, as you see, everybody's starting to come into their pit cycle now. On lap 59, Denny Hamlin had now come into the pit lane. Kyle Busch decided he was going to stay out an extra lap, as I'm going to go 3 wide between the 1 car and the 23 of Bubba Wallace, as well as Noah Gragson. Gragson blew an engine earlier in the race. Well, he's back in the competition now. As we got Logano just in front of myself, making sure I don't run into the back of him as we go down into turns 3. A bit of a checkup from the 23 as well as the 22. They come into the pit lane. Gragson stays out, but now we pass Kyle Busch, who comes into the pit lane, and we are going to come through to cycle out in front of Denny Hamlin there, as he's just now coming out of the pit lane. So we are going to open up the gap to over 3 seconds between myself and Denny Hamlin here with less than 10 laps to go. Still hoping, of course, that it stays green, because I know if a caution comes out, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, a bunch of others have enough speed in their cars to beat me on a couple lap dash. So we come through cycling out into P2 now. Gragson comes into the pit lane, and now I pass, and we take over the lead now on lap 63. 5 laps to go here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hamlin trying to get there in P2, but of course he has nowhere near enough time. He's 3.6 seconds behind. Haley up into P3. Chastain, Harvick currently round out the top 5. We come through to 3 laps to go now, just hoping, please, no caution now as we're up the inside of the 32 of Corey LaJoie. We have the possibility to really, in my opinion, steal a win. We've led the whole final stage, but I feel like we've still stolen this win if it happens, because we clearly did not have a car that was capable of being fast enough to just straight up race it for the win. Now as we come through out of turns 2, passing that 95 of the rookie of Derek Crouch for the final season of the Levine family racing team here. A lap and a half to go in Las Vegas, now down to 3.1 seconds between myself and Hamlin, so he's closed in about half a second and just a few laps now as we exit turns 4, and here we go down through the front straightaway, through the tri-oval. The white flag is in the air. We made it, and now that means we just got to bring it around one more time to get win number 1 on the season here and pick up right where we left off with this 24 team. Fast and determined to just find any way possible to pick up race victories. Here's go down the spike straightaway on this final lap at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, down into turns 3 and 4. Absolutely no pressure at all. We played our cards perfectly with the pit strategy. No reason we should have been able to win this race, but we make it happen as we exit turns 4. Austin Dillon blows up out of the corner, but we come through to get our first win of the season in Vegas. Just the second race on the season. I think this is the earliest we've picked up a win in the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. I believe in NASCAR Heat 4 career mode we picked up a win when Atlanta was like the second race of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But so cool to pick up that victory. We did not deserve this win whatsoever, but we led a bunch of laps and we made it happen here in the Pennzoil 400. So cannot complain whatsoever about that as we do the first burnout of the season here with this beautiful Razor paint scheme, of course, as you guys know, made by my good friend Renato. I still love this scheme, and that's why I didn't change it up for this season there as we stop at the start-finish line. But now we're going to check out the finishing order on the day. So Hamlin and Haley in the top 3. Brandon Jones up in P4 in that 96 car. Ross Chastain rounds out the top 5. Maybe a sign of good things to come for that 42 team who struggled for so many seasons, and they picked up their first win with Chastain at Martinsville in the playoffs last season there in the career mode there. As you see, Bubba Wallace down in P22. A lot of big names that were fast had some trouble with that whole pit cycle and trying to get through slower cars, so a driver like Bubba, Christopher Bell as well, all kind of struggle there to work their way through traffic, as you see Briscoe as well as Priest at the very bottom of the field. But now we actually move ourselves into second in the points behind Kyle Busch, just 3 points back. So a solid start to the season after a rough Daytona 500 with that contact with Joey Logano, as we get to see that Las Vegas trophy for the first time here in the Pennzoil 400. So happy to pick up that win, and I hope you guys are happy as well. Now, as we're going to check out, before we end this episode, of course, the point standings for all 3 series after all 3 series did race today here at Vegas. Hopefully this is a sign of good things to come throughout this season. It was so disappointing to once again last season have 2 Final Four appearances now and come up short both times. Of course, the first season with the 20 car, we DNF'd, and then obviously we had a photo finish to Martin Truex Jr., who won the championship last season there. So that was so disappointing, but hopefully we can change that this time out now, as you see the playoff grid here, at least for the truck series. So our truck currently runs P4. I'm confident we can get a win very soon with our truck team and pick up strong, just like where we left off last season with the championship in the truck series. But as well, there you see Rajah Caruth, currently the last driver in the playoffs. And on the Xfinity side of things, Clements and Harmon currently the ones locked in. I still don't expect Harmon to stay locked in, but Paul Menard currently has this P7 there on the grid. So a solid run for Paul Menard as well so far, and hopefully he can continue that into the next episode at Auto Club there. As you see the Cup Series grid, Bubba Wallace having a solid run, P7 currently, Haley in P5 with that brand new colleague racing team, Chastain up in the top 10, Cindric in P9, Harvick up there in the top 10, Harrison Burton P12, and to round out the playoffs currently is Chris Buescher, with BJ McLeod being the first one out right now. But that will do it for this episode. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you do know what to do. And before we end this episode, I just want to say thank you to the Go One Racing members of MJ, Aiden, James, Joseph 9001, RJ, Timothy, Bubba Jr., Illinois Diecast, Devin Roth, NASCAR Collector 3, as well as Movement. As I always say, you guys help me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys, though, in the next one for Auto Club. Have a great day, everybody.